What's going on, guys? Running it back with another replay. We've got Zinch rocking up in here. Gonna be going up against the Tomb Kings on the other side here. We've got an interesting build. Got a Bone Giant, we got Cetra on the Kitty Cat, we got the Chosen of the Gods, a regular Ushapti Great Bow, Skeleton Spears, two Nakar Warriors. I don't know why I thought one of them was the Kefir Guard, but apparently not. That's going to round out the Tomb King's army. Just basic standard stuff, nothing too crazy or out of the box, really. That's just not really Zinch's play style. They can be a little limited at times. They're really cool, though, regardless. Very respectable faction. Have a pretty decent matchup against the Tomb Kings, or against Zinch, I imagine. The Tomb Kings do have some pretty good answers for, you know, stuff like the Changebringers. They can also hit these Flamers with the Ushapti Great Bow. It's going to be very interesting to see the kind of damage that Mr. Fly is going to be trying to get out of the Flamers. I'm not entirely sure what they're here to counter. Probably Cetra on the Sphinx. They should be able to put some pretty respectable DPS into them. The missiles just hit so hard. There's a lot of shots per volley. Good AP split on it. Also imbues Warp Flame, and there's a little bit of Blue Horror fire in here that can also add up to some respectable damage against the 95 armor on those War Sphinxes. Skeleton Horse Archers just poking away, doing a pretty good job of keeping Zinch honest. Marauder Horsemen just jump into the trees. Really nice micro from Mr. Fly. Not over-pressing anywhere right now, just getting the two objectives. Contenting himself with a nice little ticket lead here that's only going to improve throughout the remainder of this game here. As long as you stay patient, the Tomb Kings aren't really going to have a whole lot of good targets to shoot at, really. They've got Marauders and Blue Horrors to pick from. Everything else is really well positioned around the shot blockers, or just sitting right out of range, right? Like, you've got the Flamers sitting on top of the Blues, and they're just a little too far away from the Bone Giant and the Ushapti right now. You know, Ushapti and the Chosen of the Gods, they can peel chaff like this pretty quickly. The problem is it's just not cost-effective, right? I mean, this is a 1,350 gold unit in the Chosen of the Gods, and they've used 5 volleys, and they've gotten 124 value, and that's from shooting these Marauders, man. I mean, like, yeah, this Marauder unit's dead, but it's really not that big of an imposition for Mr. Fly to just build up some supplies and bring a replacement unit in when the time comes. That is a beautiful, beautiful cast right there. What was that? Was that from the Flamers? No. Oh, the Shrieking Sky Rays. Oh, the Lamprey's Bite. Brutal damage going down on the Skeleton Spearman. Wow, man. It just blows me away how good that is. One of the better bound abilities in the game, honestly. I mean, just ruinous damage to anything that's low armor. And that is Skeleton Spears in a nutshell. Beautiful volley fire from the Flamers as well. And this is a really smart tactic. So Blues are short enough that Flamers can fire from outside, out of the unit, right? Like, they can sit in the middle of the Blues and not be obstructed while they open up on units like that. So pretty good damage so far from Zinch. I know that it says that the Tomb Kings are up in value, but here's the thing. They've killed a Marauder and they've killed a Blue Horror, so yeah, 900 value all told. And you gotta also remember that some of that damage is on the barriers. Like, the barrier on Blues and on Marauders will contribute about 150 value each. And with these Nakar Warriors going down, it's honestly swinging it really nicely for Mr. Fly. It's just so baffling. How is it so low after that much work getting done? And that is a filthy burning head, man. You have got to look out for stuff like that. Levko, a little bit too slow to react to just a truly devastating burning head. I mean, Luckily, it hasn't killed any models, but losing half the HP on your skeleton horseman is really ugly. It is not going to stay. The value is not going to stay in your favor for very long if you're taking just brutal damage like that. Now, the horse archers are getting lots of heals, Realm of Souls, second tier going off. You've also got the lore passive for the Lore of Nehekara going down, but you got poor Cetra being stuck up in here with the Shrieking Sky Rays all over him, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord kind of boxing him in. I mean, he is getting pushed around a little bit. Comes with the territory of fighting a monster that's got a whopping 5,500 mass. Big damage going down on the Zangors. Very unfortunate for them, but Knights of Immolation are going to be countercharging the Skeleton Horse Archers. And the Zangors going down isn't that big of a deal, because at the end of the day, Cetra is about in his last legs here. He has been getting pounded by the focus fire from the Tzeentchian forces here. Now, Marauder Horsemen being hounded pretty ably by these Carrion, but we do get the Zangors moving in to kind of clean them up, and both of those Carrion, all in, they've just about gotten the job that they were looking to do done. They've gotten some pretty good value. One of them is sitting here with, well, actually, they really haven't paid for themselves yet. And I guess one of these Marauder Horsemen is very healthy at the end of the day. 46 models left, and the other does have 24. They can come back in and get some pretty good damage done. Zangor's getting pummeled. The range damage is just a little too much for them. They've been getting hounded pretty badly, but look at the Ushabti value. 181 value on this Ushabti Greatbow. That is really awful. And the Bone Giant as well. The Bone Giant with only 500 value. It's a 1,600 gold monster, man. Chosen of the Gods, the only thing that's been vaguely cost efficient, and Levko's lead is massively inflated, I think. Now, you do get a kill on the Flamers. The Ushabti summon did really good damage back here, and it's still got a little bit of time to go yet. Probably going to end up with about 650 value when it's all said and done. Could crumble out a little bit sooner, but we'll have to see there. Flamers moving up, nothing to punish them anymore. This one great bow is all that's left, and it's just firing into infantry over here. It's just not been used to hammer any of the expensive pieces. You've got the Knights of Immolation alive. The Sour Guts are very healthy and can get some good damage in. Marauder Horsemen, they suffered early, but they're looking like they're going to value trade pretty nicely here. They've already got about 600 value. Helping kill this Ushabti will probably get them up to about where they've paid for themselves. And the Chaos Lord popping that Colossal Strike and landing in amongst the Ushabti to start really chewing into them is going to be amazing. Zangor's holding the line. They're kind of outmatched here. I mean, Zangors are really good into chaff infantry and can selectively trade up into some higher tier stuff as well, but that's not really the nicest thing about the Zangors. Really, it's just the cost efficiency and the fact that they are so defensive. They're so good at holding ground. The shield, the overshield, the 50 armor, which is kind of low, all things considered, but still, you know, respectable. It's much nicer than what you're going to get out of Marauders and the like, so can't really go too wrong with them. I find them to be one of the more cost-effective marked gore variants. Corn Gores are probably the runner-up after that, but do have some weaknesses of their own. Double Ushabti in here. It's a lot of heavily armored monstrous infantry to have to try and grind through. Not going amazingly right now for Mr. Fly. But the objective advantage cannot be ignored here. Cetra's been really inactive. I can't really blame Levko for that, though. Because he took so much damage, Cetra has just not really been able to get into any engagements. He's actually going to lose a little bit of that health regeneration because of the burnt contact effect. Does reduce incoming healing modifiers. Cultist scrapping. Decent value on the Cultist. You know, 21 kills, but about 800 value on him. Really not that terrible. Looks like the Tomb Kings are going to grab the #1 objective, and the Sour Guts are getting brutalized over here by Nakara Warriors and Ushabti. Is this where it really starts to flip around for the Tomb Kings? Because they are very unthreatened with these Ushabti being up on the point. There's not a whole lot to damage them right now. You do have the Shrieking Sky Rays over here, helping rip apart the Bone Giant. Bone Giant just not doing a whole lot. Synagores of Tzeentch are also over here, kind of scrapping in no man's land. There's a lot of Tzeentchian forces that need to rally to the middle. I think once they do that, it's going to become a little bit better for Mr. Fly. This is going to be a Burning Head that probably cracks this game open, depending on the rotation it gets. Little unfortunate on that, but still roasting down the Skeleton Spears pretty capably. You get the Usirians. Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance is pretty effective against the Knights of Immolation, but it is half damage since they are below the threshold for the max effectiveness. 25 models or more is what it's looking for. These guys are at the 24 mark. So it still wears them out a decent amount, but they're usually going to be healthy enough to last through it. Yeah, come on. Dropping that Searing Torrent from the Knights here would go a long way to clearing up the Nakara Warriors. Oh my god. Army ability for Tzeentch coming in. Get the, you actually want to get your Knights out of the way, because if the missiles do hit them, you can see they're losing quite a few models here, actually. Unfortunate losses, but I think at the end of the day, considering you nuked the Nakara Warriors and a Nakara Horseman, plus whatever skeletons were under this, how much value is that army ability getting for you? I mean, 650, 525, probably about 100 each off the Skeleton Spears. Any extra damage on such, it's probably about 1100 value on that. Plus, you get the Synagores finally answering the Ushabti, and the Ushabti really starting to suffer here. Tzeentch probably is equalized value, all things considered. Plus, with the fact that Tomb Kings have just awful cap weight, I don't know if there's going to be a great way for the Undead here to get back into this one. Setcher goes down, all of the Nakara Warriors and Spears crumbling out here. The very tattered remains of the Tzeentchian forces would be enough to cap the #1. The Forsaken go here, Synagores answer up to clear the Nakara Horsemen, and I think you'll be in a really good spot. Flamers, the Flamers were pretty mediocre. One of them really didn't do much of anything at all. This Flamer, though, has gotten about 700 value, and the Blue Horrors have gotten some pretty good support from them. Just constant dives up into the Blue Horrors there trying to kill the Flamers has gotten some pretty good value for Tzeentch in those fights. Just continuing to fight in no man's land is something that I would advise against. Generally speaking, you want to do as little fighting in the open field as possible, especially when you're between your home objective and your opponent's home objective. Fighting on one or the other is the way to go about it, generally speaking. Fury should kill Carrion fairly quickly, especially the Tzeentch Furies with their overshield. Since the Carrion have pretty low melee attack, you can see how long it takes for them to get through that Tzeentch barrier. Really starting to flip that fight in the Tomb Kings, or in the Tzeentch's favor against the Tomb Kings, and that's going to be a win for the Tzeentchian forces. Tomb Kings tapping out here in the late game. Points were all being capped away, basically. I just don't see the Tomb Kings having enough juice to be able to last into it, but Levko did a pretty good job of scrapping there. Just a little unfortunate that you probably just want to keep this Ushabti Greatbow in reserve and bring it out. Probably to answer something like the Knights or the Synagores. Other than that, though, just keep them in reserve and bring out those Ushabti earlier, man. The Ushabti were the part of this Tomb Kings build that traded the best. And I think if you had If you cut the Ushabti Greatbow and the Bone Giant, I think you have enough to fit 3 Ushabti into your starting army, and that would be way better than this Bone Giant, for sure. And probably a little more consistent than the Ushabti Greatbows. You've still got the Chosen of the Gods to hammer down anything expensive, with the option to bring that Ushabti in after the fact, as well as keeping the Bone Giant reserved. You can bring that up too. Carrion, I don't know about. They just don't win against Furies. The Horse Archers, they can skirmish back Marauder Horsemen and poke at Blues, but other than that, not going to have a whole lot to do in this matchup. They just got punished so badly by Burning Head, and then they got shredded by some like Shrieking Skyrays. The Knights of Immolation did a pretty good job of hammering them down. They just didn't last long enough to really value trade is the problem. I'd still keep them in, but I'd be a little bit more careful about when and where I use them. Alright, guys. Really well played by Mr. Fly. Very, very patient work against the Tomb Kings. Kind of doing it at a range disadvantage as well, considering the Flamers, you know, are a 90 range unit, right? I mean, you don't have anything to aggressively get up in the face of the Tomb Kings here, but doing a great job of forcing the Tomb Kings to waste all that ammo as kind of winning Tzeentch the game here, and kind of goes to show you that even when you're at a disadvantage somewhere on the battlefield, there are ways around it. Like, Fly just played the terrain really effectively and stayed on the objectives and just didn't move off of them for anything. And the eventual push from the Tomb Kings petered out once the Ushabti great weapons went down. It was kind of all she wrote by that stage. Chaos Lord with 1800. Such an effective Lord, man. Alright, that's enough gushing. Anyways, I'm going to call it here. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see y'all on the next one. GG's. Peace. Take care.